welcome to a new edition of our program Africa Today. And in this edition of the program, we will start with reports from Egypt, as Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and visiting Hungarian Minister of Trade and Foreign Affairs Petro Szijjártó held a press conference following their talks in Egypt on Tuesday. The talks focused on regional and international issues of mutual concern, including developments in the Horn of Africa and illegal immigration to Europe. Details follow.
Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and visiting Hungarian Minister of Trade and Foreign Affairs Péter Szijjártó held a press conference following their talks in Egypt on Tuesday. Speaking at the press conference, Abdelati expressed keenness to boost ties with Hungary in all fields. He said the talks discuss regional and international issues of mutual concern, stressing Egypt's support for Hungary during its current presidency of the EU. He said the field of transportation is witnessing strong cooperation between Egypt and Hungary. Abdelati also thanked Hungary for offering education scholarships for Egyptian students, which he said have reached 200. He said the talks also touched on cooperation in the field of energy, adding that Egypt is a hub for production and exchange of energy. He said an MOU was signed by the two sides in the field of nuclear technology. He added that both sides agreed on the necessity to reach a ceasefire in Gaza and guaranteeing the entry of humanitarian aid. He also highlighted the urgent need to reach a deal to secure an exchange of detainees at a halt to the aggression on Gaza. He said security in the Horn of Africa was also discussed, stressing support for the unity of Somaliland. For his part, the Hungarian minister said Cairo's role in stopping illegal immigration to Europe is highly valued. He said that the Egyptian-Hungarian dialogue is of strategic dimensions amid threats to the region. He said that Egypt is one of the main guarantors for European security and for stability in the region. He added the war in Ukraine has a mushrooming cost, which is causing a hike in energy prices and driving up inflation.
And now we are joined over the phone by Mr. Raouf Ghafar, a political analyst. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Raouf. Yes, can you hear me? Technical problem, and now we go on with our reports from Africa. And from Mali, gunmen attacked a military police base early Tuesday in the Malian capital Bamako, where gunfire and explosions were heard and the airport was closed. More in the coming report.
Malian police said armed men attacked at least one military police base in Bamako Tuesday morning, adding that the perpetrators had not been formally identified. Volleys of gunfire interspersed with explosions began at around 5 a.m. and black smoke could be seen rising from an area near the airport. Officials said Bamako airport was temporarily closed due to events, without saying how long the closure would last. The French high school Liberté announced it would remain closed due to external events, and staff at the United Nations mission in Mali received a message urging them to limit their movements until further notice. Mali has been ruled by a military junta since back-to-back coups in 2020 and 2021. A number of armed rebel groups are active in the West African country, but until now the capital has been spared. After the Malian coup, military juntas also seized power in neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger. Under junta leader Colonel Assimi Goïta, Mali broke a long-standing alliance with European partners and former colonial power France, turning instead to Russia and its Wagner mercenary group for support. The military leaders have pledged to regain control of the entire country.
And now we are back with Mr. Raouf Ghafar, a political analyst, and he's going to talk to us about the importance of ties between Egypt and Hungary in light of the current visit by Hungarian Minister of Trade and Foreign Affairs Péter Szijjártó to Egypt. Good afternoon, Mr. Raouf.
Good afternoon to you, my dear.
So, sir, let's start by the importance of ties between Egypt and Hungary. How do you weigh these ties?
I mean, strong ties, all ties. We are on very good terms with with Hungary since the 50s and even earlier. So the relation between the two countries was always very strong. And we have a lot of ties in different areas. I mean, industry, tourism, education. I mean, in so many fields, we have been in cooperation with Hungary, and the very famous model was the trains. I mean, we used to call them the Hungarian trains. This is because they came from Hungary, and this is exactly what we are doing with them right now. So we go back long years, very good relations, and we are cooperating, as I said, in so many fields, and I think things are developing to the better, especially that Hungary will be investing in some of the areas, namely the Suez Canal economic zone.
Also, during the press conference on Tuesday, Foreign Minister Abdulati said that the security in the Horn of Africa is also topped the agenda of the talks. How are developments in the Horn of Africa impacting the world stage?
Any problem in any part of the world affects the whole world. We have seen the war between Ukraine and Russia and how detrimental effects were on everything. We have seen the turmoil happening in the Middle East,
yes,
and how it affects. The African Horn is not any different. This is a very important spot through which a lot of commercial goods travel, and stability means more better economy, I should say, for the whole world. So it is very important to have stability and security. One other important problem is that these kind of unrests create situations where illegal immigration starts. And again, this represents a threat to the European countries, and Egypt is making a huge effort to stop it and to stop the passage of immigrants, illegal immigrants, through its territory. So this again is a problem, and I repeat, security means a better world, and any problem happening anywhere affects the economy, fortunately, negatively.
So, Mr. Raouf, the Hungarian minister, said Cairo's role in stopping illegal immigration to Europe is highly valued. Please elaborate.
As I said, when there is a problem somewhere, when there is instability, insecurity somewhere, which unfortunately is happening in some of the African states, people, they look for their future. They look for business. They look for job opportunities, which cannot be made available in their own countries due to the problems they have. So they look for a way to go illegally to better countries. South Europe and Europe in general represent this new environment to which they all aspire to reach, even illegally, if they can, to start their own life. Egypt has stopped Egyptians from doing this by the development that we are seeing in Egypt, by creating jobs, etc., and by, of course, establishing a very secure and safe country, thank God. Unfortunately, around us, people try to infiltrate through Egypt to Europe. And this, again, Egypt is making a huge effort to stop this and to forbid people going through the illegal immigration to Europe from passing through Egypt by all means.
Yes, Mr. Raouf, also, how do you see Europe as an investment partner with Africa?
A very important investment partner for various reasons. First of all, they are near, they are close in terms of distance. Number two, we have, as we said in the beginning, close ties with them since a long time. Number three, they have technologies that are easily understandable, assimilable to Egypt. So these factors represent advantages for Europeans to come and work in collaboration with Egypt or to invest in Egypt. The other very important point is that Egypt represents the door to Africa and to the African market. And any country that wants to penetrate the African market, one of the major ways to do it is through Egypt. That's why they established their factories, their investments in Egypt, aiming to satisfy the local market and to export to the neighboring countries from one side and to the African continent from the other.
So, sir, yes, sir. Mr. Abdelati also said during the press conference that Egypt is a hub for energy production and exchange. How would you describe investment appetite in this field?
Well, I mean, we all know that the East Mediterranean zone now is becoming a very important zone as far as energy is concerned.
Yes.
Gas, we are the hub of gas for the whole world. We are one of the most important export areas of gas to the whole world, east and west. And discoveries, thank God, are increasing and the quantities are increasing. So yes, of course, our area represents this with the energy, renewable energy and new energy. Again, we have the opportunity to export electricity to Europe. Again, this is something that makes this area very, very important to Europe in particular, and to investors to come and invest in exploration as far as oil and gas is concerned, and in establishing stations for the production of energy, clean, renewable, etc., aiming to link the power lines to Europe and satisfy their need for electricity and energy.
So finally, Mr. Raouf, also it is worth mentioning that an MOU was signed in the field of nuclear power production between the two countries. How do you see the move?
Yes, as I said, technologies are easily understandable and applicable. And of course, the use of nuclear energy and power in all the pieces of application is something very important, and this is what we are doing. And on top of that, I think they signed a very important MOU for the supply of over 1,000 locomotives and trains coming from Hungary. This again is important. One last thing I have to mention is that the Hungarian tourists are going to increase, and I think that there are some memorandum of understanding aiming to this was signed again among the more important things.
Yes, I'd like to thank you, our dear guest, Mr. Raouf Ghaffar, political analyst. Thank you, Mr. Raouf, for being with us. Thank you, sir. And back to our reports from the African continent. And the Confederation of African Football, CAF, said the 8th African Nations Championships will be held from the 1st till the 28th of February in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. It will be the first time East Africa hosts a continental football competition for national teams and will serve as a precursor to the three nations hosting the 2027 African Cup of Nations. More in the coming report.
Nations Championships will be held from February 1 to 28 in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda. The statement was made by Confederation of African Football (CAF) President Patrice Motsepe on Monday. The biennial African Nations Championships (CHAN) is restricted to locally based players, ruling out big-name footballers who move to Europe. It will be the first time East Africa hosts a continental football competition for national teams. It will be the first time East Africa hosts a continental football competition for national teams and will serve as a precursor to the three nations hosting the 2027 African Cup of Nations. Motsepe toured 3 Kenyan national stadiums which are earmarked to host the event, with 2 currently under renovation. Qualifying matches for the 19-team tournament will start on October 25 and end in December. Senegal won the last edition of the tournament in 2023, beating host Algeria 5-4 on penalties in the final. Morocco and DR Congo have each won the CHAN title twice since its inception in 2009.
And by that, dear viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of Africa Today. I'm Shina Adel. Thank you for watching.